Chapter 11. Breaking out, moving on. At least we're not breaking up. Well, it's after Samhain now. Spencer kinda lucked out. Since Sunday was Samhain, the agency was too busy to deal with him. Between handling Grant, wrapping up the Farrell case, and dealing with overflow, Spencer was low on the priority list. It meant that I was really the only one he had to contend with. Even Allie couldn't do much more than stop by for a few minutes. But in the end, Spencer had seen and heard enough to be compliant. He let me explain things, we compared notes, and ultimately, though he was still a little suspicious, things seemed better. Based on what Allie told us while we were in that building, we'd kind of pieced together the story as best as we could. We also spent much of the day hunting for clues about what we had finally remembered about Spencer's disappearance. Mom had a bad habit of keeping clippings from my disappearances. If Spencer vanished too, we definitely knew there would be some proof somewhere. We'd finally found it in an old scrapbook, hidden. Interesting. He'd been missing for 3 days. I had slipped out to go find him, and we'd shown back up together. Both of us claiming, you guessed it, no memory. Allie had touched base with us only briefly and confirmed a few things about that. She remembered the incident, but because we didn't, all the adults told her to never mention it. Everyone assumed it was trauma or something. The secret keeping. Unbelievable. Her theory was now that Spencer and I had our memories sealed by the Fae. Then they did the little soul switch thingy. That was a little weird, but based on what Brenna had said and what I had uncovered about changelings in my research, my theory was that fairies had used the soul transfer strategy to try to conceal their actions, because there were definitely stories of changelings being discovered, and that never ended well for them. It always involved things like concerned family members throwing them in the fireplace, or on hot coals, or drowning them. It's possible they started taking only the child's body to fairy, and leaving their soul in the real world to act as some kind of disguise. At least long enough for them to reach adulthood. I guess people didn't look as hard for an adult that wandered off as they would for an infant or young child that vanished. What they wanted with me and Spencer in the first place? Still a mystery. Books said that fairies used human babies for anything from servants to breeding stock. Given that, from what Allie said, fairies had weak life energy. That last one might be more accurate. Regardless, Brenna had used that potion to undo the contract for me. Apparently, because she felt she owed Elliot for helping her, and since he liked me, that kinda gave her the perfect way to pay him back. We assumed. Because Brenna had disappeared, and we couldn't exactly ask her directly. Even if we could, I wasn't sure we'd get any more answers from her. Man, this ending is playing out so differently. Regardless, it seemed like the situation was fixed, more or less. We had a pretty stern warning to not look too deeply into it. Fairies didn't like anyone knowing their secrets. And Spencer and I already knew a lot. So even though we didn't have all the answers, we also didn't want to attract more attention, that was certain. What we did know is that I was not quite left unchanged by what had happened. Apparently the reason I could use magic was because my body had been lovingly mutated by fairy magic during all those years sitting in fairy, waiting for my soul. It was apparently a known side effect of humans hanging out there. I wasn't really fully human anymore. I wasn't fully fae either. I was somewhere in between, and I wasn't totally sure what that meant just yet. It was just one of many unanswered questions, and there were some things I wasn't sure we'd ever really know the answer to. I sighed softly and let my stupid hair go. I can't get used to the ears, though. The hair I could at least cut. Those pointy ears? Those were just weird. Time to go! And after all that, we had school. School! We fought evil vampires over the weekend. I found out I was a mutant fairy hybrid thing. And we had school. Life just didn't stop. I thundered down the stairs, pulling on my jacket as we went.
I got a text from Mom. She says Grandpa is doing a bit better.
And yeah, that happened. Mom and Dad left for a few days because Grandpa had ended up back in the hospital and they wanted to stay closer to him. I was wondering about that. It did clear the house out and let us deal with things without worrying about them, but I was worried about him. Glad to hear that. Spencer stopped on the front porch, staring out at the gray rain.
What happens to Grant now?
Not prison, unfortunately. Apparently, tossing him in jail for kidnapping a student in order to test her for evidence of changelings would be a pain. I'm not sure what they're actually doing with him. I'm not sure they've made a decision.
I feel bad for him.
Don't! He's a creep.
I never told you his story, did I?
I don't think his story changes much.
He lost his brother.
I already knew that much. I didn't think it excused anything.
The guy was a detective, and he got mixed up in something supernatural. As a result, he lost his life. Grant witnessed the whole thing. And they took away Grant's memories and covered it up.
That's not an excuse for what he did to us.
He didn't do anything to me. And what he did to you, I helped with, you know.
You've already apologized. I already yelled at you. And hit you. A lot. No need to keep apologizing.
If they're going to let me off, then I don't think he should be punished either.
They'll decide what to do with him. And you need to stop beating yourself up.
I'm still struggling to believe everything that happened.
Man, I've been feeling that way ever since we got back.
I'm sorry I was so terrible. All this time.
Well, I understand. I mean, you thought I was an imposter all this time, and you were half right. That distance between us hadn't fully closed yet. It was better, but it still felt like we had a long way to go. I mean, things escalated a lot further than they usually do, at least in the other two routes, so makes sense that you would have a lot more work to do. There's no point in me staying mad about that. In the end, you weren't wrong, and neither was I. No matter how I think about it, it seems like it was inevitable things played out the way they did. It wasn't exactly something we could talk about rationally, and that wasn't your fault, or mine.
I hate fairies.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either, to be honest.
I hate myself more. I was so stupid. If I had never...
I punched him on the arm, hard.
Why?
The self-loathing crap pisses me off. You were a kid when you went inside that stupid hill. The ones who took advantage of that are the problem. Everything else that happened came from the fact they wouldn't let you go. That was the problem. Look, we can't redo the last 10 years. We can't redo the last 5 years. We can only move forward. So let's do that, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Happy birthday. Don't tell me you forgot.
Well, there's been kind of a lot.
I didn't get you a present. So consider that revenge for being a jerk all these years. So now we're even, okay?
I didn't get you one either.
Well, you better rectify that, pal. I think I deserved one.
Right. I'll get on it right away.
Good.
Am I interrupting?
Elliot! Not at all.
Didn't really get to see you Sunday. Or yesterday. I wanted to see how things were going. Looks like... it's better?
Spencer and I shared a look. Yeah.
Are you really a vampire?
Elliot just sighed softly.
Yes.
Spencer, can you give us just a minute? I really need to talk to Elliot. Actually, why don't you go to school ahead of us? I'll go with Elliot. I mean, if that's okay with him.
I'm not sure I trust this guy.
If he tries to jump me, what are you going to do? He took out 3 ferals while you just stood in the background and yelled a lot. I did more than you back then, and I didn't do much.
Fine. Just don't be late.
Just get out of here. He shot us another uncertain look before finally going to his car. We watched him pull out of the driveway.
I didn't take out all 3 by myself, you know.
Close enough.
So,
I owe you an answer.
Oh, that! You don't have to.
I grabbed his hand and pulled him a little closer, smiling up at him. I do like the parallel of it's raining again just before school. Spencer was even there. And that was when Elliot first confessed. And now we're doing the same thing. You got this, girl. Will you go out with me?
Huh?
I mean, if you don't want to, I can ask Mark.
That is so rude! Nora, no! You know he'd jump on that, and for no other reason than just to rub it in Elliot's face that he's the superior vampire. Oh my god, I can't believe she actually said that.
I was rooting for you, girl.
No! I mean, yes. Yes, I will. I just wasn't expecting you to say that.
It's been a bit crazy the last couple of weeks, and I'm really hoping that stops, at least a little. But I feel like the one constant has been you, and the way you've helped me, and just the way you've been there, and have put up with all my stupidity and hysterics.
You haven't been...
I covered his mouth with my hand. I really, really like you. I was kind of reluctant to admit it because of everything else happening, and I suddenly felt like I didn't understand anything. Myself least of all. But I like you. And even if I think you're nuts for liking me, I think I'd really like us to, you know, do the thing. Date each other. Officially and whatnot. If you still want to. Elliot's face was adorably red, and I was really glad I'd finally said that. Finally admitted it to myself and to him.
Can I...
If you're going to ask if you can bite me...
kiss you?
Oh! I bit my lip as I smiled up at him. Please do. Yay! No more blockage! It's finally happened. Oh, and the rain even stopped for the picture. Hooray! He cupped his hands around my face and leaned in to kiss me very, very gently. A very Elliot-like kiss. It was wonderful. I leaned into him, feeling a little giddy. I mean, I never really thought my first kiss would be with a vampire. But hey, when life gives you vampires, start dating them. Words to live by, I guess. Man, I don't even know who this could be. There's so many options. If it's Corbin, though, I'm karate chopping him in the throat, I swear. Oh, the sun came out. Holy crap. Elliot and I jumped apart at the sound of Danny's voice. Okay, Danny, you get a pass. He just smirked at us.
Sorry to interrupt. I thought we were going to school together. Oh. Yeah. I mean...
He fidgeted with one of his bracelets, his face still bright red. I grabbed his hand and laced my fingers through his. I'm going with you today.
About time. At least if you're going with us, I can make sure the two of you stay out of trouble from now on.
I'll have you know that none of the trouble I got into recently was my fault. Danny waited for us to join him at the end of the driveway, and then because my life was definitely super bizarre, as the sky finally cleared up, the three of us went up to Elliot's room to get to school through his closet. Life was weird, but life was also very, very good. I didn't know what else was in store for me for the rest of the school year, but I was kind of looking forward to it. I was definitely glad to be back. I am definitely so freaking relieved that Danny had the decency to let the kiss happen and not interrupt for 5 seconds like everybody else in this route. Good gravy. Oh, yes, it's over. We did it, everybody. We survived the most stressful route. Whew. Yeah, I will admit, I have some mixed feelings about this, for sure. I really like Elliot as a character. Like, in general. Like, he's very sweet. He's very thoughtful, sincere, like, all kinds of good stuff. So, I mean, he's just a precious little bean. So, I really like him. At the same time, I didn't like that he kept stuff from us for so long. I was really kind of surprised by that because he seems to kind of talk without thinking first. At least in the other routes. Like, he kind of... I don't know. It was unexpected. I also think having Mark involved kind of overshadowed him a bit, but that might just be me, because I'm much more of a Mark guy than an Elliot guy, if I'm being... I guess not a Mark guy. I'm a Mark girl. I like the Marks of the world more so than the Elliots. I don't know what that says about me. Probably nothing good. But... yeah, and introducing Mark was a very, very big distraction for me. And I was just like, man, I can't wait for Mark's route. So that kind of detracted from Elliot a bit. And then there's just a long swath of time where there was all these plot things happening separate from our two lovebirds. And so their relationship really hit like a stalemate and was just like, okay, it's just stuck. Because we gotta resolve all of this. That said, all the plot points were really interesting and were told really well. But I think if I would edit anything, I would just probably cut the Grant subplot. It was good. It was interesting. It was like a nice kind of what Spencer could have become over the years. Like there was like the similarities there with the siblings and wanting justice for their siblings and stuff. But ultimately it didn't play into, I don't know. Like, Elliot already had the vampire feral thing going on, and Nora has her changeling stuff happening. So adding, like, this other thing was just, like, it was just another added layer of drama on top of this giant mound of drama. I like, yike. If it had been a little more connected to the feral murders, like maybe, let's say his brother had ended up being killed by one of the ferals or something, then I'd be like, okay, everything kind of tied together. But yeah, the Grant thing I think was just a little bit too much unnecessary drama for the route and kind of detracted from it a bit as well. But all in all, I did enjoy it. I think Elliot will probably be at the bottom of my route list for right now. I'm gonna have to start like 3 different lists. I think I'm gonna look at the endings too. See what we got. When life gives you vampires. Perfect. Okay. Glad I checked that first. But yeah, I think I'll have to have 3 lists. Like 1 for roots, 1 for the guys, and then 1 for the guys with Nora. Because there's aspects that I like in all of the roots so far for different reasons. And so the list will be radically different depending on that criteria. So yeah, I'm gonna have to give that some thought. But I think root-wise, Elliot's probably the weakest for me just because there's so much happening. But that being said, I'm glad our girl finally got to smooch her boy. Danny, you are a gentleman. Thank you for letting them kiss and not interrupting. I could kiss you again. Ugh. But anyway, that is Elliot's best end. So next time we're going to start working through those bad endings, guys. Hopefully I'll see you there for that. Thanks again for joining me, and until next time, I will see you later.